YouTube. Hi, my name is Mark. This is Nixon Motorsports. This channel is all about motorsports, from racing to exotic cars and even simulators. Today, we're going to do a couple shakedown laps in the Formula 1000. And the reason we're doing that, we have a new motor installed, but we also have had this ongoing little oil drip that's been driving us crazy. So hopefully we've taken care of that. So let's get on with it. Let's see what it does. So if you're new to this channel, we have a lot of racing activities. So we have a lot of videos around racing material, parts, upgrades, and so on. This is the F1000 race car that I race. This is a Formula 1000, a store manufacturer. Of course, very few parts on this are from store. It's been highly modified and upgraded over the years. But this is the current race car that I race. And thought I would show that to you. You know, and if you're curious, F1000, what are these things? Well, they are motorcycle powered race cars, which is interesting. 1000cc engines. The car has a 1,000-pound weight wet. Now that's with driver minimum, and about 220, 225 horse, 14,000 RPM, paddle shift. They're a blast, and so if you race or you've been on tracks before, you'll probably appreciate this, that, you know, we get about 3 Gs in cornering, we get about 3 Gs in braking, so it's quite the car. So I thought I would share that with you. So if you saw a couple videos late last year, I talked about it a little bit, but vaguely. Let me give you an update on that. So we had a race, we had a doubleheader last November, and we went through qualifying. We did fine. Performance was there, all that, right? But we had to scratch the race weekend because we had this profound oil problem. And pulling the car apart, looking at the oil system, that was a crack, a hairline crack in the oil tank. It's a dry sump system, right? So it had a hairline crack in the oil tank. Took care of that, got the car back together with a new motor in it and so on. And we've still been having this little irritating little oil drip with the BRD Dry Sump system. So we think we've solved that. Before I tell you if we did or not, we're going to get out and do a few laps and see how well it works, okay? So for the ZX10R motors, with using the BRD Dry Sump system, you do have to, of course, mount the scavenge pump, right? And for those of you who've done this, you probably have sorted this out. For others who are considering this, I want to talk about that. Let me just pan down here. So this is the 2-port scavenge pump, and this is the one side of the water pump housing that is from the engine itself, right? And so you do need to use this half of the housing, and you can see the shaft actually comes through from the pump here, and it mates with that notch there. It mates to the shaft that drives the oil pump assembly in the motor. Well, one thing I've struggled with is a little bit of oozing, dripping oil from time to time, and it's quite irritating. Now, the one thing that you have to do with these water pump housings, let me go down to it. So here is a stock water pump housing. Well, stock other than I've drilled these holes just to get access to the gear shift sensor. But this has no seals in here at all. It's completely void of that. The bottom side of these housings, there's this small little orifice here. It's like a drip fitting intended. It was there for the engine as a safety feature. If you think about it, on the other side of this housing sits the water pump. So you have a seal, you have another seal for the water side, and if any oil gets in here past the oil seal, that drip line is basically there to let the oil escape through the bottom of the engine there and actually not get water in your water system, right? In this case, for the dry sump system, you need to plug that. So that hole, you need to tap with a 1032 tap, and then put a 3/8 or longer plug in there. And you want to Loctite it or use thread sealer. You want to seal that, and then obviously not have to worry about it oozing out. So I've had issues with that before. You need to make sure you do that well. Now the other thing I want to talk about is this water pump housing itself. I've been always putting the oil seal back in here. Let me get one, I'll show you, hang on. So I've been installing this seal in the bottom of the housing and then assemble it with my pump. I've been doing that now for several motors, and successfully once, but the last several motors that I've been using, I have been dealing with a small oil leak in the bottom of the engine, and I believe the issue is by inserting this seal and by plugging this hole well, there's well, the oil has no place to leave once it gets inside this chamber. So the theory is that, you know, maybe that's pressurizing it slightly. It's hard to say, but it does find a way to get out from this assembly. So in talking to BRD, you know, Jesse, who builds the systems, he recommends that you do not put that O-ring back in there, that you simply use this housing assembly with no O-rings at all. Well, obviously you have to have this mating O-ring here, but you simply mount it this way. You let oil get in this assembly, but you let it go in and out with no problem whatsoever. So that's what he's been doing for years, and he has no oil leaks. So anyway, I'm going to do that on this engine. I'm going to see if that actually solves the problem. So let me get it in the car, or in the engine, and put the engine back in the car, and I'll give you an update, okay? So I did 2-3 laps, just installation laps for the car. Had a couple little things I had to take care of on shifting, but it was a minor thing. Good news is, it looks like our little oil dribble thing is finally resolved. So pretty tickled about that. Let me go down and show you what it looks like with the bodywork off. I roll over here to the car. You can see here, after the run, the engine pan, nice and dry. If I scroll over here, you can't quite see it there, but nice and dry. If I go to this side, down here in the pan as well, nice and dry. So I think we got that solved. So anyway, that's it for this video, very short. We got some testing coming up later this week. So there'll be a couple days of back-to-back runs there. We got some setup tuning, things like that we want to work on. And so I'll bring you along with that. I'll show you what that's like. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate you at least considering to subscribe to this channel. It does mean a lot to us. But regardless of that, that's it for now. Ciao. Bye.